Good night, everyone. It's December 29th, 2020. With this we start the show Confirmado la Moncloa, a review of the Spanish political situation. It will be around 30 minutes long to focus on a few ideas. As always, we will start with the comment of the day. And today's comment is, it's the last week of the year. A lot of people are thinking about how the year went, and for many the year has started really like in March because of all of the COVID-19, and it seems like everything that happened are just bad things. It's been complicated weeks and months, and it seems like the government isn't doing what it should. And maybe the worst of all is that all of the things that happened, many people have just forgotten about it or haven't given it the importance it has. And we're in a situation that with everything that has happened, some people still justify anything. And here we will still continue explaining the things so everyone can decide on their own. These days we will take a few moments also to relax, so we won't have as many programs as we did, but we will have them again after. We will concentrate on Confirmado la Moncloa and also on the second coffee of the day and also the curriculums of the representatives we have. Some people have noticed by the shows of the curriculums that we have a bad political class. And that simply means that until something happens, people don't worry about it. And that in a democracy is really serious. When the citizens are unworried, it's a problem for democracy. And the pandemic, at least, has showed many people the bad politicians we have. The bad thing is that still a lot of people think that these politicians should be the ones to govern us, because freedom of speech is democracy. And everyone has the right to vote who they consider. And here we will continue explaining the situation for all of those who want to listen. And with this we start the headlines of the day. The first headline, we have officially passed the 50,000 deaths from COVID-19. Remember that here in Spain, the official number isn't the real number. But remember that really there are around 70,000 or 80,000 deaths from COVID-19, according to the Office for National Statistics. The second headline of the day, the district attorney still accuses Unidas Podemos, even though the Attorney General, Lola, is so close to the government. The third headline of the day, it's something we've been saying for weeks. Ayuso's agenda is something that worries more and more to Genova, since it seems not only she was taking positions here in Catalonia, but also in Castilla-La Mancha. And it seems these are movements for that hypothetical Congress of the People's Party that would take place in May 2021. And we will see how the candidates arrive to that date and with what support. Because many of the polls that give an increase of representatives to the People's Party for the general elections, some people interpret that as if it were something to support Pablo Casado, when we really think that if he were seized and somebody were to substitute him, the People's Party would already have surpassed the Social Democrats. And the fourth headline of the day is related to the economic crisis. And some people seem to forget about it. It seems that when they talk about health, they don't talk about economy, and when they talk about economy, they don't talk about health. But for us, both of them are really important and serious things to have in mind. And as we said a long time ago, more deaths will come out from the economic crisis than from the health one, which is something really sad. And with this, we start with the first headline. More than 50,000 deaths from COVID-19 according to the government. Though the truth is, there are around 70 or 80,000 deaths from COVID-19, according to the Office for National Statistics. Well, it seems like for the government, the statistics given from the office aren't useful for them, but for other things, they do use their numbers. And it seems like with Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, there might be an increase in people that is infected from COVID-19. And it seems like for some people, the gatherings are more for Christmas than for New Year's Eve. Though for New Year's Eve, it seems like it's more young people. And that's where the increase in people that are infected from COVID-19 could be seen. Some autonomous communities have agreed on more restrictions and also reducing the hours that restaurants and bars can be open, which it seems like an attack to them because they're not having any type of help, and it's not where most of the infections are caused. And for example, we're a bit surprised because some of our listeners talked to us about the fact of the faculties, colleges, that they're going to be able to do the exams in person in January, where around 40 and 60 people will be in one classroom. But then one thinks, you can't do a gathering of more than 6 people for Christmas, but in a college in Valencia, 40 to 60 alumni can be gathered to take a test? It doesn't seem really logical. Unless when you remember that they're trying to make young people keep in mind and try to make them conscious that they have to meet less and less people and less social life or parties or anything like that because of the risk of COVID-19. And it's true that a test is not a party or something like that, but it is a bit surprising that so many people can gather together to take an exam in a small area like it is a classroom. And maybe the colleges should think about other ways to take those exams by the alumni, because maybe there are more secure ways to do it. It simply seems like everything that comes from a public institution is just the truth and it's just what is good. But when it comes from a private activity, it's not. Because if in Valencia, if in that autonomous community, they're going to take exams with 40 to 60 people, why can't restaurants open and have tables of 4 or in tables of 6 people? And we're surprised that the Spanish government is trying to fool and mislead all of the citizens, saying there are only 50,000 deaths from COVID-19 when the truth is there are many more, around 70 to 80,000. And we would ask the representatives that if only 6 people can be gathered together because of the COVID-19 restrictions, then why are they going to allow around 40 to 60 alumni in a classroom to take a test? Because there are many other ways to take a test, and they should try and find those other ways. And we will get into the second headline, the district attorney. That the government thought they had all the power over the district's attorney. But the thing is that there are a lot of district's attorney, and though they do depend of the attorney general that depends of the government, nor the government nor the attorney general can be everywhere. And though they try to get their hands on some of the topics that they prefer, by the hands of Lola, the attorney general, the former minister, and also the lover of the former judge that was convicted for corruption, well, it seems that the Attorney General, Lola, and the government don't have so much control over the district's attorney. Because the district's attorney here in Catalonia has said that they are against the pardons for the pro-independence prisoners, and instead the Spanish government is saying that they are the ones that decide. So, if the district attorney does depend of the government, it could be that they, towards the public, act in one way, and instead the government says another thing to keep their partners close. It's a close example to the one of Unidas Podemos, that they asked for the file of the case of Neurona, but the district's attorney has decided to not file it and to keep charging Unidas Podemos. So it seems like the Spanish government might be giving orders to do something, and maybe the district's attorney is not listening to them, And maybe it's the fact that the district's attorney doesn't depend so much on the government, and they have their own way to decide things based on the legal aspects. Because after all, once this government is finished and they are seized or they are not in office anymore, the district's attorneys and the judges will continue doing their job. So the district's attorney and the judges won't sell themselves for a government. And we think that this is one example of the fall of this government we have. The district's attorneys are not doing so much what the Attorney General says, because they know what their responsibilities are and also that they depend on the legal aspects. And that's something we can see with the pardons. We always put the same example. If there's a man that started raping kids and he was convicted and he said if he gets out he would continue doing it, you wouldn't pardon him. Well, it's the same with the prisoners that we have here in Catalonia for the pro-independence actions that they took and that they were convicted for. And it seems like the district's attorney is telling the government, you want to pardon them? Well, do so. Go against what we decided, because you have the power to do so. But government, show yourself. It's your decision, not ours. And it's the same with the district's attorney's decision to keep the charges against Podemos for Neurona's case. Meanwhile, the Spanish government is just saying that they shouldn't be charged. But the district's attorney, as well as the judges, are trying to apply the law. And that is a really important detail. And we have to think why the district's attorney are ignoring the Attorney General's decisions. And there are just two reasons. The first one is that they're not there to receive political orders. And the second reason is that the district's attorney are going to keep their place and position for many years, and the Attorney General will be seized once the Spanish government is not longer in office. And with this we get into the third headline, the agenda of Ayuso. How long ago did we mention that Pablo Casado was already a dead politician? Well, as days go by, we see him less and less, he appears less. And he's starting to get pretty worried about the Ayuso. Remember, Ayuso started with Catalonia, supporting the candidate Alejandro Fernández for the Catalan elections, and she has also moved to support the candidate of Castilla-La Mancha. And so Ayuso is doing two things at once, really. One, being the president of the Autonomous Community of Madrid, and the second one is trying to be the candidate of the People's Party, and she's already trying to get herself into position. Today, for example, she had a meal with the mayor of Madrid. Keep in mind the support she might have. Also remember that behind Ayuso there's Miguel Ángel Rodríguez, that raised long ago Aznar to the president of the Spanish government. And we'll probably see a lot more of Ayuso. And in Genova, those that are supporting Pablo Casado don't know how to deal with all of this. Because those supporting Pablo Casado are just obsessed in those polls that are saying that they would almost be surpassing the Social Democrats, but not yet. And the truth is that after more than 50,000 deaths, really 70 to 80,000 deaths of COVID-19, also the greatest fall in the world of the gross domestic product, and the continuous lies of the Spanish government, those that support Pablo Casado and himself are happy because they're about to surpass the Social Democrats. Because many other analysts, and some of them are those that advise Ayuso, know that if there is a change in the president of the People's Party, it could be the difference to surpass finally the Social Democrats. And we know that Ayuso would have no problem to make agreements with any other political party of the right wing. And some of us really see the potential first president lady of the Spanish government. And with that, we go to the next headline, the economic crisis. More than 48,000 businesses have closed here in Spain, And also, for example, the help that the Spanish government is giving to the freelancers is just 1/6 of what other European countries are giving. Also, more data. The hotels here in Spain have decreased around 95% of their turnover with respect to the last year. Because, for example, if 1 year you have a turnover of 1,000 or 2,000 euros a month, but they take from you 95% of it, but they let you with 50 or 100 euros, well, what are they gonna live of? And the data's the data. 48,000 businesses closed, most of them of only 1 or 2 employees. And the thing is that the Spanish government, the one of Pedro Sanchez, is simply letting all of those businesses die, and those businesses are the ones that give that difference, that thing, that special thing to the Spanish economy. Because there are people that dedicate many, many hours to give work to employees, to make the economy move, and the Spanish government simply isn't giving them any help at all, really. When the truth is that these businesses are the market economy. And that's what we need to maintain and keep. And also protect. And not try to incite what the government is trying to. That's simply staying on the sofa doing almost no work at all or nothing. And just be paid by the Spanish government for not doing anything. And also keep in mind that the problem of the economic crisis is that it converts itself into a social crisis. Well, politicians, you that haven't worked, you are having your salary, your income paid by all of those people that you're not helping. All of those businesses that have closed, or those that are still not closing, but might end up closing. And if so many businesses have to close in the end, who is going to create employment? Who is going to start a business? When there's a Spanish government that, when needed, are not helping, are the politicians going to give employment? Are the public servants going to give employment? Well, the truth is that economy really moves because of those people that are freelancers, those that start a business, and those that simply put themselves there giving employment with their businesses. And that's where the wealth comes from. And it's a really, really big error for the Spanish government to simply let them die and not help them at all. And with this, we will keep going. We will keep seeing intense days. So stick around, or as we say in Spain, seguimos.